Okay, guys. So this is the day one for our Linux course. Basically, what we are going to do is we are going to learn a Red Hat Linux version 8. So how it will help you to get a job. See, right now, Red Hat Linux version 8 is the latest in the market. Okay. Previous versions are version 7, version 6. But version 6 is really old. Nobody is going to use it because it is also reaching end of life, which means no more updates from Red Hat for version 6. Okay. There will be no more updates. For Red Hat 7 and for Red Hat 8, Red Hat is again publishing updates. For Red Hat 7, the deadline is 2024. Okay, so till 2024, Red Hat 7 can be used, and Red Hat 8 can be used till I guess 2026 or 2030. Okay, so you are going to get you are going to see Red Hat Linux version 8 most of the times when you start working in any of the organization as a system admin or a system engineer. Okay, so also if you are willing to take the examination of RHCSA, Red Hat Certified System Administrator, then again also this course, this class will be of great help to you all. Okay, so we are going to prepare for the RHCSA exam as well, along with the complete Linux, Red Hat Linux course. So let me first start with what exactly is Red Hat Linux version 8. It is an operating system, right? Like we have Microsoft Windows that we use on our laptops, or Microsoft Windows Server, right? So it is used in server machines for administrative tasks. So similarly, in enterprise or in organizations, whenever there is a requirement of a Linux operating system to be installed on a machine, so the most popular choice is Red Hat Linux operating system. But there in the market, we will also see something like Ubuntu is also an Linux based operating system. You will also see SUSE Linux. You will also see Mint Linux, or someone practicing ethical hacking might be using Kali Linux. All these are different distributions of Linux. I will explain you what exactly is a distribution, why are there so many versions of Linux. Okay, so first of all, we will just start with what exactly is a operating system. Okay, see, all these are operating system. Red Hat Linux is also an operating system. Microsoft Windows is also an operating system. So what exactly is operating system? It is nothing, just a piece of software. It's a piece of code. It is written in such a way that it can communicate with the computer hardware and software resources. Okay, so basically your operating system can talk to your CPU, it can talk to the motherboard, it can talk to the RAM. Okay, it has the capabilities of communicating with the hardware. Okay, we have a question. We are going to learn Red Hat 124 and 134. Yes, exactly. So I have clubbed all these two books to form one single PPT or one single course, and we are going to prepare for RHCSA exam. With this course, you will get two benefits. You can clear your RHCSA exam, as well as if you wish to get a job, you can apply for a job as a Linux administrator profile. Okay, or if you want to upskill yourself, again, this is the course for you. Operating system can talk to the hardware. Okay, simple as that. Second, memory management. What is memory management? Memory management means, in your laptop you will see you have 1 TB of hard disk but 4 GB of RAM. Why such a difference? Why can't there be 1 GB of RAM as well as 1 TB of hard disk? Because RAM is expensive. Okay, everyone cannot afford. Yes, big companies can afford 5 TB of RAM, 10 TB of RAM. They have resources, they don't have any financial issues, they can spend a lot of money. But we as a consumer, we cannot afford that much of hardware resources. So that's why what the system, the complete computer or the this machine is designed in a way that you can use less RAM, and the storage can go up to terabytes or petabytes. So memory is expensive. Memory is available in limits, not in abundance. That's why the operating system software should be, good enough to manage the running programs in a limited available memory. In your phones, 2 years back, there used to be 1 GB of RAM, 2 GB of RAM, and you are using your phone for playing games, for multitasking, for taking videos and pictures, right? All of this is part of multitasking. Still, your CPU, I mean your complete hardware, your phone hardware was able to process it. Why? Because the Android operating system is continuously making such changes in the operating system, that the operating system is getting more memory efficient. Okay, it can manage the memory in a more better way than the previous Android versions. Similarly, in any operating system like Windows or Red Hat, any Linux, any Windows operating system, memory management is the key feature. It has to be very very good, because in the servers also you might see server with 2 GB RAM or 4 GB RAM, right? Third is managing multitasking. Again, it is related to the memory management only. If the memory management is good, multitasking management is also equally good, right? And then operating system has to manage multiple users as well. Okay. Yes. If you have any question, you can let me know. Okay. See, again, managing multiple users. On a server machine, typically single user does not log in. Multiple users log in for their work or for some task. Okay. So, operating system has to manage multiple users. It has to manage the users in such a way that, every user can log in parallelly and work parallelly, right? At the same time, process management. What is a process management? Whenever a application is running on an operating system, it is actually a process running in a memory. Okay, process is nothing, just a software executing in the memory. Memory means RAM. So whenever any software is executing or running in the memory, it is called a process. And normally in an operating system, hundreds of process are running, at the same time, simultaneously. So operating system has to manage the processes as well efficiently, so that there is no deadlock. If you're, you might remember, if you have used a old hardware with old operating system, it hangs a lot. Sometimes it crashes a lot. It reboots automatically. Okay, so this is because of bad process management, bad memory management. Okay, so over time the operating system get updates. Okay, it gets enhancements, feature enhancements, and operating system code enhancements. So now in today's date, you don't get to see memory problem or process management problem in any operating system, even on your phone. Old version of Android was very bad. Now now the latest version of Android 10 or 11 or 12, they are exceptionally good, right? And then we have the device management. Operating system has to manage the devices. If you are plugging in the pen drive on your laptop, your system automatically detects it. Why? Because the Microsoft's device management is running in the background. It is constantly checking for the hardware changes. So similar feature is there in all of the operating systems. Okay. And finally, there is error handling and logging. Now, what is error handling and logging? So error handling means, normally, whenever operating system is running, in the background some errors are generating. Okay, it's not like every time the errors are generating. Sometimes, or maybe once in 1 minute or once in 1 hour, would be some errors which are generating in the operating system. So the error handling mechanism of operating system will be taking care of those error messages. Okay, and it will save those error logs, error messages in a file, so that administrator can check what error is popping up and why it is popping up. So for troubleshooting purposes. So these are the common features of a good operating system. Okay, now let us come to Linux. Just give me a second. Okay, so let's come to a brief history of Linux. How was Linux operating system developed, or it came into existence? So basically, there is a developer by the name, a coder or a software developer by the name Linus Torvalds, and he is the creator of Linux. Okay, so when we say Linux, it means the original Linux, which is free to use, free to download. Okay, so basically, Linux is free to use and free to download, free to modify, and free to distribute. Okay, so Linus Torvald developed the Linux operating system. Okay, and it gave the operating system to the open source community, which means anyone can download the Linux operating system and anyone can modify it, redistribute it with a different name. So this is why we get Ubuntu, Mint, Kali Linux, and there are so many versions, so many distributions. Okay, basically they all are using the same Linux code, which Linus Torvalds keeps on updating. Okay, basically Linus Torvald still till date keeps on updating the core Linux operating system which he developed, and every organization is just downloading it for free and modifying it and redistributing it. Normally you get all these for free except two. So basically, you are going to get Ubuntu for free, Mint Linux for free, Kali for free. But Red Hat and SUSE Linux, these two Linux versions are not for free. Why? I will tell you in the next slide. So Linus Torvald created the Linux operating system, and basically what he wrote was the kernel of Linux. In any operating system, let me just type it here. In any operating system, there will be one very essential piece of code. It is called kernel. Okay, so kernel is basically a piece of code. It is a software which is responsible for communicating with the hardware. So kernel talks to the hardware. Okay, always remember, kernel talks to the hardware. So how it talks? Basically, it is designed in a low-level programming language. So that language might be assembly, okay, or might be some other C language which can talk to the hardware and get some output generated. So Linus Torvald basically started with the kernel. Linus Torvald designed the kernel for himself. Okay, so because he wanted another operating system for himself so that he can use. Back in the days, Unix operating system was very popular. It was a paid operating system. Okay, and organizations were the ones who were using it. It was designed for enterprises. It has so many features supporting the enterprises, like support, operating system support. If any company is using Unix operating system, and if they are encountering any bug or error with the operating system Unix, so they can contact Unix team, and the experts from the Unix company can help them out, because that enterprise has paid some money to get the Unix operating system. Okay, so that's why these are some features basically. So Unix was the most popular operating system in 1960s. Okay, in 1960s, it was so popular that so many developers starting cloning it. Clone means they just try to replicate it. They made another Unix like operating system from scratch. So there was Minix operating system, which was a clone of Unix. Okay, and mostly universities were using it. Colleges and universities were using it. So when Linus Torvalds was studying in early days, so he was really impressed by the Minix and the Unix. So he decided, since he was a software developer at that time or learning software development, he decided to create his own operating system. So therefore, he started development of Linux operating system? First of all, he developed kernel, okay, and then few commands for his use, and eventually he called the developers across the globe to contribute on his project, which is the operating system. So this is why he eventually decided to keep the Linux operating system on open source platform. Okay, so open source platform means any software on open source platform, you can download it, you can modify it, modify the code, source code, and redistribute it by a different name. Okay, and yeah, so okay, so Linux, I hope now you know where it came from. So Linux is a product of Linus Torvalds. Okay. Now, what is Red Hat? Red Hat Enterprise Linux operating system. What is this? So there is an organization, very big organization by the name Red Hat. So Red Hat downloaded this Linux free version, okay, which is provided by Linus Torvalds. So they downloaded it, they modify it to support the need of the companies. Okay, so they deployed a team, they hired developers to modify the code in such a manner that it can support the organizations or the need of the organizations. Okay, so after several years, Red Hat launched its product, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, in 1993, I guess. It was the first version. Okay, and slowly and steadily, we have reached to Red Hat Linux version 8. And is it free? No. Red Hat has invested heavily. They have paid salaries to the developers, and constantly they are evolving and enhancing the Red Hat Enterprise Linux operating system. Okay. So, because of that, they have kept a subscription fee or license fee for Red Hat Enterprise 8. So, you cannot directly download and start using Red Hat Enterprise 8. Although if you do not want to update it time to time, then you can use it, because when you pay for Red Hat 8, when you are paying, you, not you actually, but the companies, when the company is paying for the Red Hat 8 operating system, they are getting support and software updates, okay, in return. So if you're not interested in support and if you're not interested in software updates, then you can download and you can just try it out, try this how it looks like. Okay, but for enterprises, but for companies, they have to pay the license fee and then they can start using it. The benefit is they will get timely updates. Okay, if the subsystems, if the servers are updated, hacking and exploitation becomes less. So there'll be hacking attempts will be there, but hackers won't be able to cross the firewall or cross the operating system security features. And the second thing is the support. Let's say some company is using any organization, let's say IBM is using Red Hat operating system on any server machine, and they are running a website on it. Let's say the website is not working properly or the performance is low, and the Linux administrators working in IBM fail to troubleshoot or they are not able to fix it. So what they will do is they will call the Red Hat support team. Not call, actually, they will just raise a ticket online. Immediately, someone expert from the Red Hat will contact them back, and that expert will solve the problem within 1 hour or 2 hour. So this is what you get after paying. Okay. So you should know, as a fresher or as a system administrator, you should know why is Red Hat Linux paid. RHEL is a paid is a product for which you need to pay for the license. Okay, you cannot get it for free. You can get it for free, but you cannot use it in the production environment. But you don't worry, if you still want to use it, you can register yourself as a developer. Okay, if you register yourself as a developer, then you can get a 1 year developer license, and you can use RHEL 8 on your virtual machine for practice. Okay, all right. And what else is there? Yeah, benefits are there, updates. Okay. So who is the potential customer for Red Hat? The organization, the big companies, where thousands and thousands of servers are running. Let me give you an example. The organization Apple. What is the count of servers in Apple? More than 50,000. More than 50,000 physical servers are there in Apple. And forget about virtual machines. They're also in huge numbers. Okay. So Red Hat's potential customers are not the students, not the system administrator, but the companies, because companies have large number of machines on which they need to install operating system, a solid operating system, a very stable operating system. Okay, so Red Hat Linux is built in such a way that it is actually very robust, very secure, and it can run on a server for years. You don't need to reboot the server even. I remember in my last organization, there was a server which was not rebooted in 10 years. Okay, because there was no need to reboot it. It just kept on running without any problem. It was running a Red Hat version 5. Okay, it was just, I mean, it was never rebooted in 10 years. Okay, so this is the first thing, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, the version 8 operating system. Okay, now Red Hat is also involved in two more operating system projects. One project name is CentOS. Another project name is Fedora. Okay. So what is a CentOS? CentOS is basically designed for enthusiasts who want to try Red Hat operating system, but don't want to pay any license fee. So what Red Hat has done is they have removed all the packages, all the applications which are paid, and just kept the remaining part of it as CentOS. Okay, it is called Community Enterprise Operating System, CENTOS, Community Enterprise Operating System. So it is a recompiled version of RHEL. Okay, and it is free to use. You can download it, and you can get updates for free, but you will not get support. You will get updates for free, but there is no support. For support, you have to Google it. You have to Google the problem. Let's say your HTTP server, your web server is not starting. Then you Google it. Problem with web server on CentOS 8 version this. Okay. And then there will be some forum where there is a solution. This is how you can support. This is how you can fix or troubleshoot. Then there is another operating system project by Red Hat itself. It is called Fedora. Okay, I will show you both the things. I will show you Red Hat, how it looks like. I will show you how CentOS and Fedora looks like. So Fedora is basically that operating system on which new features are developed and tested. Okay, so Red Hat team uses Fedora internally for the development of new features or testing of new products before releasing it to main Red Hat operating system. Okay, so first of all, features are developed on Fedora. They are tested. Okay, phase 1 testing is done on Fedora. Then phase 2 testing is done on CentOS. Again, CentOS is not stable product. Yes, you can use it, you can practice it. You can use CentOS for learning Red Hat as well. Okay, but you cannot use CentOS for production server. Okay, so phase 2 testing of new features which are going to come in Red Hat are tested on CentOS. And then when everything is fine, then those features are released on the Red Hat Enterprise Linux, RHEL. Okay, so this is how Red Hat internally works. If there is a new feature upcoming, it will be tested on first Fedora, then CentOS, and finally it will be released for RHEL. Again, companies are paying for RHEL, right? So that's why Red Hat has to make sure that the every software update is free of bugs. This is why this testing is done on three layers. Okay, so there is a question by Jijo. Are we able to work on CentOS after this course? See, uh, you can work on any Linux distribution after this course. Not only CentOS, not only Red Hat, not only Fedora, any. Okay, so don't worry. All right. Things to remember in Linux. So basically, today I'm just going through the introduction part. Okay. Just the basics of it. I will just give you the introduction to Linux, how it looks like. Basically, it looks like Windows only. Okay. So how it is different from Windows and all these things. So things to remember in Linux. First thing, which is very important, everything is a file, which means your hard disk is also represented as a file. But if I check Windows and if I go to my computer, I see my hard disk is represented as a partition, C drive, D drive, right? But in Linux, but in Linux, your hard disk will be represented as a file. It will be named something like SDA, SDB. I will tell you, okay, in the coming classes. Then the CLI is your friend. You are an administrator now. uh, Treat yourself as a system administrator from day one. Okay, so you are a system administrator, and the CLI is going to be your friend. What is a CLI? Command line interface. If I open this on my Windows machine, what is this? The command prompt in Windows, where we can write commands like dir. Okay, so this black screen is basically the command line interface where you can run commands. So again, in Linux, you won't be working on GUI, but you will be working on command line interface. You will be typing commands. But for first 1 week or 2 weeks, I will be, teaching you on the GUI itself so that you become familiar. Okay. And then the third one, which is very important because we have crossed 2020 now. Okay. We have crossed 2020. We are in the age of automation. Don't forget, we are in the age of automation and AI. So if you have set up your mind that you are going to become the system administrator, don't limit yourself to system administrator. You're going to be the system administrator and automation engineer. Okay, you are going to automate everything. So gone are the days that you are going to run commands every time. You can automate it. Okay, so always try to automate everything which you do. Let me give you one small example. Let's say there are 100 servers on which you as an administrator have to install uh, MySQL database. MySQL database. Okay. Now, what is the best way of doing it? Obviously, automation. Because if you do it manually, you will log into server one, install the database, reboot. Okay. Log out, then log into server two, install the database, reboot. You have to do this 100 times. It will take probably 2 days of your time. Okay, so 2 days you are going to invest in this task. But if you know a little bit of automation, you can do this task under 10 minutes. Okay, 10 to 15 minutes, take it as it is. Like within 10 to 15 minutes, you will be able to perform this task using automation. So in this course, I'm going to teach you Ansible automation in the end. Once we complete Linux, once you have the knowledge of Linux, then we will come to automation. So last 1 or 2 classes or 2 days, I have reserved for Ansible automation. Okay, it will greatly benefit you during your interviews and when you get a job and when you are starting the job. Okay, when you start working, it will greatly benefit you. Yes, Ansible. Okay, so we have a question. Red Hat comes under Fedora. No, let me again show you something. What is Red Hat? Red Hat is a very big organization. It's a company. Okay, its website redhat.com, and you can check how many products are there. Red Hat does not only limit itself to operating system. It also offers many cloud solutions. It also offers automation solutions. It also offers cloud platforms. It also offers container services. There are so many products from Red Hat. But right now we are focusing on the operating system it offers, which is called Linux. Sorry, Red Hat Linux, RHEL. Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Current version is 8. We are going to study the latest version. All right. Now the question is then, is Fedora under Red Hat or Red Hat under Fedora? See, before Red Hat Enterprise Linux is the operating system. So what is operating system? It is a piece of code. Whenever there is a new feature coming on this RHEL, so that feature is tested on Fedora first and then CentOS. So test benches are there. Okay. So first test bench is Fedora and another test bench CentOS. These are again operating systems. Okay. These are not enterprise level operating system. These are just for testing purposes. If you want to use a free operating system from Red Hat, you can use CentOS because it is more stable than Fedora. Okay. Since it is more stable, there are less bugs, performance is good. You can use CentOS for studying Linux, studying Red Hat Linux. Okay. It is very good option. But but if you prefer using Red Hat only, then you can register yourself, register as developer, okay, on Red Hat. Then download Red RHEL ISO, RHEL version 8 ISO, and create a virtual machine on your laptop. Okay. Yeah. So this is it. I hope you now understand. All right. Always remember. So Linux. When if you have learned Linux, this doesn't mean that you have learned everything. You have to start your career from Linux. Once you finish Linux, just shift your focus to automation. When you are done with automation, shift your focus to cloud technology. Okay, so this is how your career will progress. You don't want you don't want your career to be stagnant, right? So just keep on learning new things. All right, so going to the next slide. Okay, we have a question. Are we going to use VMware working with Linux? Okay, so let me tell you. Since you have enrolled to the Linux course with Network Kings, so NW Kings also provide Linux labs to you. Okay, it will also provide Linux labs. I'm not sure if you guys are registered in the labs or not. I will confirm it from the admin team. Okay, you might have received lab ID and lab password in your email. Okay, so if you have received it, is then it's well and good. If not, then I will ask the team to share the credentials. All right. Smita says not yet. No worries. I will ask the team. They will share the credentials. So how this lab looks like, let me show you first of all. So this is the link. Let me share it. See, okay, whatever I am typing here will be available in the Google Drive. I will share a Google Drive link. So daily notes, daily class notes will be available in the Google Drive, as well as daily presentations will be available on the student portal as well as on the Google Drive. So basically, I keep a Google Drive for sharing additional things like ebooks, some ebooks or some cheat sheet of the commands, and class notes, and also PDFs in these sorry, these PPTs will be converted to PDFs and I will share them in the Google Drive as well. Okay, so this is the link. Let me just open it. So yes, Google Drive access will be there for all. It will not be a restricted access. Anyone with the link can access. Okay, you will not be able to modify it. You can download the content. So this is the login page of the lab. So like I have my own ID password, I can sign in. So once I sign in, I will get to see a screen something like this. Or if not, you will get to see screen something like this. In this screen, you are getting a list of labs, pre-configured labs. So the lab of my interest is this one, Red Hat CentOS lab, UNL. Okay, just click it. Red Hat CentOS Lab. On the right, you see a small plan or a small topology. On the in the below section, you see Open. Just click on Open. So now this is the layout of the lab. It is a very minimalistic layout. Okay. So if you want to use this server, you want to log into the server, just normally click it and just first of all start the machine using the start option. On the right, you see Linux started. Again, click it. So on the second click, a new tab will be opened, and you will get to see the server itself. So now the server is booting, and after like few seconds, you will get to see the login screen. Till then it boots, let me address the questions. First question, what configuration is required for installation of CentOS? If you want to install CentOS with graphical user interface, then at least 2 GB of RAM, 20 GB of hard disk. If you do not want the GUI, then 500 MB of RAM and 10 GB of or 15 GB of hard disk. Another question is, which cloud service best with Linux? Any cloud service, any. System requirements, okay. For lab, there is no system requirements. You should have a browser. That's it. Google Chrome, Firefox, that's it. And if you want to create your own lab, then yes, you need to have at least 8 GB of RAM on your laptop or desktop, minimum 8 GB. What else is there? Okay, yeah. See, for the labs provided by Network Kings, there is no requirement, no hardware, no specific requirement. Just simply log into the lab from your browser and start using it. Simple. But if you wish to create your own lab on your own laptop or desktop, then yes, we will use VMware or VirtualBox for this. Okay, for creating our own lab, we will use VMware or VirtualBox. I will tell you how to do it. So I'm just first of all giving you a demo of the lab provided by NW Kings. So this is the login screen. You have a pre-created user by the name user itself. Just click it, and the password is user test123. Okay, username is user, password is test123, or maybe test at the rate 123. Okay, test123 is fine. Uh, okay, there is another question. For how long we are authorized to access the labs after registration? I think for at least 2 months or 3 months. More information will be shared by the team. You can ask them. Okay. See, you might have got the access to the student portal. From there, you can raise a ticket. So if you have any question regarding the lab or the course, just simply raise a ticket and your query will be answered. So this is the login screen that you get. Not the login, the basically the desktop. Okay. So this is the kind of a layout that you get. On the top middle, you get the time and date. If you click it, you get the calendar. Left hand side is for notification, right hand side is the calendar. Again, on the left hand side top, on the top left, you get to see activities button. Just click it. A dock will appear on the left. So on the dock, there will be favorite applications. By default, there are 5 favorite applications. If you want to see all applications, then just click the 9 dots in the last button or the last icon. So after clicking that last icon, I get to see these applications. But again, these are not the all applications. Just check at the below part. It says frequent and all. Make sure you click all. Once you click all, hold on, yeah. So once you click all, all the applications will be popped up on the screen. So yes, these are the all applications. There is one folder created, utilities. There are more application in the utilities. Okay. So my suggestion is, once you get the access, just go through this layout. If you want to mess up the settings, just mess up the settings, don't worry. Okay, once you mess up the settings and you are not able to fix it, let me know. I will teach you how to do it. Okay, so that it will brush up your Linux skills from initial days only. Okay, so once you get the access, don't forget to um, check this layout and check this lab. Okay, we have another question. uh, can we go directly to EX200 after taking this course, or do we need any additional books to prepare? Will this course be enough to prepare for Linux exam? Yes, Ali. The thing is, when you register for the exam, you will get a book from Red Hat as well. Okay, and you will notice that I have already covered most of the things which are there in the book. Okay, so basically, I am also following the same book. I have prepared the presentations and this course. After going through all those all these sections from that book for EX200. Okay, so don't worry, we are actually covering the same part for EX200. You will be able to give the exam, even crack the exam. Okay. Where were we? Yeah. So So tomorrow I'm going to tell you about architecture, how a Linux operating system functions. Okay, not today, tomorrow. Today we are going to create our own lab. Okay, first was the l- lab provided by Networkings, which is this one. Second option is if you want to create your own lab. So how to do it? The thing is very simple. Creating a virtual machine on your laptop is very easy, provided you know how from where to pick the ISO file, from where to download the VMware player. Okay. So for your help, I have created this slide. So if you check Linux installation on a virtual machine. Okay. So how to do it? First point is get the Red Hat 8 ISO with 1 year developer license, or download CentOS 8 ISO. Option is yours. Okay. If you wish to download Red Hat 8 ISO, then simply go to this link. It is basically, this link is from Red Hat only. It will tell you how to register as developer and how to get a free copy of your Red Hat version 8 along with the developer license. Okay. Yeah, and if you do not want to register and do not want to invest that much of time, then you can just simply download CentOS 8. Okay, and the download link is mentioned below. Simply download it. There is no need of license. It is free to download and free to use. So ISO is normally 9 GB of size. Okay, always remember, ISO will be of 9 GB of size, and it will be like DVD1 by the name DVD1. Okay. The second part is download the application for virtualization. Normally, I suggest VMware. VMware is for those who are just learning Linux. But if you're learning MCSA as well, then you might have configured Hyper-V in your laptop, right? If you have configured Hyper-V, then you cannot run VMware Player. So on Windows, there is a restriction. Either you can run Hyper-V or you can run VMware Player. But if you want to still run Hyper-V and another application, virtualization application, then simply use VirtualBox. Okay, VirtualBox is not that user friendly, but it solves the purpose. Okay, so let me just quickly open all these links one by one so that you have an idea, and I will just show you how to create your own virtual machine. Okay, so I have some chats. Application install same process for Windows or different? See, if you want to create a virtual machine on Windows, then yes, this is the slide which I have prepared. Okay. You have to download the ISO, you have to download the VMware player or VirtualBox, and then proceed with the virtual machine creation. Can you share the difference between Ubuntu, RHEL, and CentOS? Yes, let me just share the difference. So, what is the difference between Ubuntu, Red Hat, RHEL, and CentOS? RHEL and CentOS is provided by Red Hat organization. Okay. Ubuntu is provided by Canonical, I guess. Okay. Is Ubuntu production ready? Not production ready. But is RHEL production ready? Yes, definitely. And is CentOS production ready? It is not production ready. Okay, what else? Commands. All the commands are same. All the major commands are same. But for the installation of applications, the command is different. In Ubuntu, you will use apt to install any application. But in RHEL, you will use yum command. In CentOS, you will use the same yum command. Okay. Again, Ubuntu and Red Hat actually are Linux operating systems. The core difference is the commands are a bit different. As I just explained you, if you want to install any application in Ubuntu, you have to use the command apt. But in RHEL, you have to use yum command. Okay, you can say RHEL and CentOS are siblings, but RHEL is designed for companies, for enterprise, but CentOS is designed for end users like me and you. Okay, as a trainer, I will prefer CentOS. As a student also, I will recommend CentOS to you. But still, there is one option for as a developer license that you can get from Red Hat. Okay, so next question: can you share both the links? Yes, I will be sharing both the links. Rohit is asking. See, Rohit's question is, can I run Windows and CentOS parallelly? Yes, obviously. You can run Windows and CentOS parallelly because we are going to use virtualization technique. Virtualization technique. Now, what is this? When you are, virtualizing the hardware. So on the top of Windows, you are going to run VMware application. Inside VMware application, you will create your own virtual machine, and inside that virtual machine, you will install CentOS operating system. So this is how you can run two operating systems at a time, even three also. For Mac, uh, for Mac VMware VirtualBox is fine. For Mac VirtualBox is absolutely fine. 1 year license fee for Red Hat. Okay. So Red Hat license fee is basically represented as code RH01, something like that. RH01 or RH001. Let me just search it. So Red Hat 8 subscriptions starting at $349. For virtual data centers, it is $2,500. For Red Hat Linux workstation, it is $179. So what it means, if you want to run a virtual machine and you want to install operating system Red Hat, then first of all you need to take 2,500 license. Okay, $2,500 license, and after that you need to take one more license of $349. Okay, so this is the cost that only enterprise can bear. Okay, so another question: what is the duration of the course? 45 to 50 hours. Can someone who is currently in Q&A testing background learn Linux admin and get a job L2? Yes, definitely. You just have to clear your RSCSA exam, and that's it. You will be directly appointed as L2 minimum. Okay, another question. I work as a manual tester and sometimes have to run the cron job on server, but I have no idea how cron jobs are written by DevOps or developers. I can okay see. The thing is, again, as I told you, Linux is just the start. Okay, in Linux there are so many things. There are containers, there are cron jobs. Okay, again, everything is managed using commands. There is no coding involved. Whenever I say Linux, there is no coding involved. Yes, there is little bit of coding in shell scripts, okay, which I will tell you about shell scripts in the end. After learning Linux, I will tell you about shell scripts. So just free up your mind. Just create some space in your mind that yes, you're willing to learn Linux, each and every aspect of it. You are willing to practice what I'm teaching you on daily basis. See, again, the daily classes will not be theoretical. Yes, there will be 20-30%, but most of the time you will see me running commands on the virtual machine. So same, you have to do it on your end, maybe after the class. Okay, so you have to practice each and every day. Whatever I'm teaching you, you have to practice it. And cron jobs, containers, these are very simple things, one line things. Cron job is a topic which I will cover in like 10 minutes. It's a 10-minute topic. Container, yes, it might take a day because I need to explain you so many things. But if you know containers, if you know Linux, you fall in the category of DevOps. Okay, then you can choose a path, career path, as a DevOps engineer. If you know Linux, and if you know automation, then you are automation engineer. If you know Linux and any cloud, let's say AWS, then you are cloud engineer. Okay, so things work like this. Don't worry about the future, what is going to happen. Just give your just give your full performance while while practicing. Just be at your best. Okay, so any other question? Let me check. And don't worry about the package. Whatever package you have right now, after completing Linux, you can just uh, start hunting job on Naukri portal, on Monster portal. Okay, and you can just search for the Linux admin profile, or maybe Ansible. You can search for Ansible. You can search for container. You can search for Linux. There are so many jobs available. Start applying. Okay, just start applying. Once you get any interview, if they ask for the expectations, just check the market. What let's say if you have a 5 years of experience, then simply ask them for 10 lakhs per annum or 12 lakhs per annum. Okay, so you are the better judge. You just check whatever your friends are getting at this experience, so you can just quote them that much. Why we require VMware? Okay, yes, I'm going to discuss this the same thing next. Why do we require VMware? Let me just save this notes on Google Drive. July, May, yeah, July. Today is 12th of July. So if you want to create your own lab, what do you need? You need operating system ISO. You need a application for virtualization. It can be VMware. It can be VirtualBox, or it can be Hyper-V. On your system, there should be minimum 8 GB RAM. If you want to install GUI, and minimum 4 GB RAM if you do not need GUI and you're okay with CLI. Okay, you need minimum of 20 GB of hard disk. That's it. These are the requirements to create your own lab. Let me create a virtual machine for you. So how to do it? First of all, as I said, OS ISO. So OS choice is on you, either RHEL or CentOS. It's your choice. So first of all, if you go for RHEL, then what is the link? On the slide I have mentioned the first link. Just copy it, copy and paste it onto the browser. What is happening? Just a second. Okay. So open your browser and in a new tab, paste this link. Okay. Guys are also asking what processor i3 will work. Okay. Minimum i3, that's fine. Any generation, second generation, third generation, every i3 will work. All right. So if you want to go with Red Hat ISO, then simply go to this link. This is the page with where all the steps are, explained in detail. So you can just, scroll down and check how to do it. Like download this no cost developer suite subscription. You know, once you click this download button, it will ask you to register. Once you register, download will start. Also, you can just go through this no cost developer license available. This is from Red Hat only. Okay. The second option is download the CentOS operating system. How to download? Either you can use the link which I have given or just Google it. In Google, just type CentOS download. That's it. Click it. Click the first link. Hold on. Let me just go back again. You will see a result page something like this. The first link is from centos.org and it says download CentOS. Just click it. Once you click it, the page will open for the download. You will get to see two sections. First section, CentOS Linux. Second section, CentOS Stream. Now, what is this CentOS Linux and CentOS Stream? Previously, 6 months back, Red Hat was sending updates or releasing updates for CentOS as well. Many companies were using CentOS as their primary operating system on production servers. Okay. So what Red Hat has decided that they are not going to update or they are not going to provide any update for CentOS after 31st December 2021. It says it is end of life. After 31st December 2021, there will be no more updates for CentOS. And if those companies who are already working on CentOS, they want to keep using the this very good operating system, then they have to forcefully shift to Red Hat. Okay, so this is a tactic from Red Hat to increase their revenue. All right, so this is fine. CentOS Linux version 8. Version 8 is latest. You can use it for free till 31st December. After this, there will be no more updates. And as a student, it will not matter. As a teacher, as an instructor, it will not matter to me as well. Okay. But if you want to still keep on using the latest and the greatest operating system with updates, then you have to use CentOS Stream. CentOS Stream is not stable. Okay. It is not stable and it is not recommended for production usage. Although, as a student or as an instructor, we can use it. We can use for practice. So I will recommend you to download CentOS Stream version 8. So in version 8, CentOS Stream, you see three links. One first link x86-64, second link ARM64, third link IBM Power. So these are the architectures supported by various processors. So you should know all this information as well. Okay. For example, there are Intel processors, there are AMD processors, then there is Qualcomm processor found in your mobile phones. Then there is Apple A1 or M1, right? And then we have IBM Power processors. So Intel processors are on x86-64 architecture. Okay, this is called 64-bit architecture. AMD also the same thing. But what about Qualcomm? They are based on ARM processors. Okay, ARM. Apple A1 again same ARM ARM. What is IBM Power? This is a separate architecture. So we have a separate option for that. MediaTek, okay. You tell me, what is MediaTek based on? It is very easy. MediaTek is also a processor for mobile phones. So it is also ARM based processor. Yes, very good. ARM based processor. Okay. So now in the options, if you are running a laptop with Intel or AMD CPU, then simply click the first link. If you are running a laptop running with Qualcomm or ARM based processor, I don't think anyone of you would be having this, but still, if you still have it, you can select the second option. And there is no laptop with IBM Power Processor, so ignore the third one. Where is IBM Power Processor? In big servers. Those servers cost around 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs, 15 lakhs. Okay. So what? Okay. So what is ARM? So ARM is a architecture in processors. More of this I will tell you tomorrow. Okay. And at the same time, you can also Google it. What is ARM? Why did Apple shift from Intel processors to its own ARM processor? I hope you know that previously Apple was using Intel i5 in MacBook Pros, right? In Macs and MacBooks, what was used? Intel. But now they are using M1 ARM based processor. Okay, so just Google it. Why did this happen? Because of the performance. Okay, so okay, Anita is asking, I want to make backup scripts after this course. Yes, you will be able to make backup script. It is very easy. For example, for MySQL database backup, there is a command, let's say MySQL dump, okay, underscore dump. And then you give a username, hyphen u username, hyphen p password. And then you give the database name, let's say tables. And then you redirect the output to a file, let's say sql.bkup. Okay, that's it. This is a script to take the backup. You can run this script every day at 5 a.m. using cron job. Again, it is a matter of like 10 minutes. So cron job is a matter of 10 minutes. Then after that, you can create your own scripts. Jatin is asking, for freshers, is there any job for Linux? Yes, there are so many jobs. There are so many jobs for fresher in Linux. Again, just don't go with only Linux as a skill. Just try to read more on automation, read more on containers, read more on crowd. I will be teaching you about Linux. I will be teaching you containers, and I will be teaching you introduction to Ansible automation. Again, let me reiterate, I have designed this course so that you don't face any issues at the time of recruitments, okay, or at the time of job interviews, or if you're working and if you want to switch to another technology, the switch will be very smooth. The transition will be very smooth. Okay, so just follow along, just focus, and you will jump any hurdle. Yes, out of this course, I also teach Ansible as a whole. Ansible as a whole is part of RHCSA exam. Oh, sorry, RHCE exam. If you want to give RHCE exam, you have to pass RHCSA. So RHCSA is the step one. Once you pass it, once you clear the exam, then you are eligible for the next phase, which is RHCE. If you clear this exam, you become Red Hat certified engineer. And Red Hat certified engineer possesses the following skills: Linux as an operating system or fundamentals, then troubleshooting, okay, and finally Ansible automation. So in RHCSA, it's a 3 hours 3 hours exam, okay, and only the Linux fundamentals will be asked. Questions will be about Linux fundamentals. But what about RHCE? It is a 4 hours exam. It is complete 100% Ansible. Or Ansible is more or less a kind of a scripting or coding. Okay, not that coding like C language, Java. but it is actually you have to create a script file, okay, in Ansible. So yes, Ansible course is absolutely like 45 to 50 hours course, okay. And if you wish to learn Ansible, then yes, you can enroll to this course as well. Okay, so let's get back to the selection of CentOS. So simply click x86-64 because we are using Intel and AMD, right? So now you see a list of mirrors. Don't worry, simply go with the first link. Just click on the first link. And a page has been opened. Just check, is there any file by the name dvd1.iso? Yes, there is dvd1.iso, this file. This is approximately 9.6 GB file. Simply click it, download will start. Okay, download this file. Once you download this file, the second step, install VMware or VirtualBox. Again, the installation is very simple. Either you click the link provided in this PPT or Google it. In Google, type VMware player download. Okay. So the first link, download VMware workstation player. Okay. Click on it. And where is this? Hold on. Hold on. Let me just check where is that option. VMware workstation player. VMware workstation player. Yeah. So this is it. VMware workstation player. The second link actually. So if you click download now, uh, some 70 or 80 MB file will be downloaded. Just simply double click it and proceed with the installation. Once you install VMware, you can find the VMware in your start menu. Just find VMware, and there will be VMware Workstation Player 16 version. Just click it. Now you will get to see a screen something like this. Let me maximize it. So this is a home screen for VMware Player. As you can see on the left, I have already created some virtual machines. So before creating any virtual machine, let me show you how it looks like. So let us first of all start with Fedora, which is the operating system where Red Hat uses it for developing new features. Okay. So let us check what are the latest features in Fedora. So once I click Fedora on the right hand side, I get some details about my virtual machine. Like I have RAM on 4 GB on this machine, and operating system is Fedora, state is powered off, and below that only we have a play virtual machine button in the green. Okay, just click it. Okay, so by the time it powers on, let me again check the chats. Okay, all right. So RHCSA exam fee, every month or every week, Red Hat shares updated prices with discounts. So admin team will be able to share the latest prices, okay, for the RHCSA exam fee. RHCE training is available on Network Kings. I guess yes. And again, for more information, you can just raise a ticket with the team. I'm working as a professional and I want to move to Linux. Yeah, see, again, the same thing. I'll say it again. Once you start Linux, you will get the knowledge of Linux and container and Ansible automation. Okay. So the transition will be really smooth. So don't worry about it. It is achievable. The target is achievable. Yes, Rupesh, you can use the lab anytime for practice. The lab is our in-house lab on our own servers. We have invested around 50 lakhs on the servers. Okay, so they are constantly running 24/7. So you can run the lab anytime you want. Yes, Google Drive link. I'll share it with you within like 5-10 minutes. I'm not going to include RHCE syllabus. I'm just, this course is for RHCE syllabus with Ansible automation, introduction to Ansible automation. RHCE course is complete Ansible for 50 hours of Ansible. Okay. So if you are also interested in RHCE or Ansible automation, then you can just contact the team. They will let you know the procedure. Okay. They will share the details basically. So Fedora is powered on. We have the login screen. I have a user student. I can log in. Password is Red Hat. I have set the password. Okay. Once you create your own virtual machine, you can set your own password. So it looks something like this. You will say that it looks familiar to Mac, right? Yes. So this is the early release of the look. Okay, so this GUI is an early release. Right now, this is not available on Red Hat because it is in the testing phase. First of all, things are tested on Fedora. Then it will come to CentOS. I will now show you what CentOS looks like. Let me power it off. You will see CentOS looks like Red Hat 8 actually, as in the lab, in the Networking's lab. Okay, there is another question. I forgot Ubuntu password. How can I retrieve? See, retrieval of uh, Ubuntu password is actually very simple. You just have to restart the machine and follow some steps. Okay. So what you can do is you can just Google it, how to recover root password Ubuntu. So again, the steps are like same on Ubuntu, on Red Hat. Steps are almost the same. Okay. If you face any difficulty, if you're not able to recover it, let me know. I'll share the steps. Okay. Okay, it's taking some time. Let me manually power it off, shut down the guest. Yes, it's gone. So once the guest is shut down or the virtual machine is shut down, you have to again open VMware from start menu. Now again, let me show you CentOS, how it looks like. Fedora is done, CentOS 864-bit. I will start the virtual machine. And CentOS is now booting. Okay. So this is the login screen for CentOS. Let me log in. You will see it almost looks like Red Hat. So this is the login screen. If you click activities, it is the same thing as you saw in the lab, networking's lab, right? It is the same thing. All right. Again, let me just power it off. Then I will show you a Red Hat 8, how it looks like. Okay, another very good question. Virtual machine versus dual boot. Which one is good for practice on i3 processor? I will always recommend virtual machine because VMware has evolved so much that you need not to use dual boot anymore. Just install VMware and create your own virtual machine, and that's it. Your job is done. Now again, virtual VMware, I will open it. And finally, we have the production version or the enterprise version of Linux, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. And it looks something like this. For practice, as a fresher, you can use GUI for 2 weeks, and after that, just switch to CLI. See, again, I am there. I'll be guiding you towards in the complete journey. I'll be guiding you how when to switch to CLI, and for how long you need to use GUI. So don't worry. Okay, so this is the login screen for Red Hat, obviously, and you can see the logo, Red Hat. The logo is also the same, a red hat. So this, I mean, the wallpaper is changed a bit, but rest almost feels and looks like the same. You see some icons. I have created it. You can also create the same thing: a date, calendar, notification, and on if I click on activities, the same thing. Okay, so now you can. I hope now you understand that all the latest features will come to Fedora. Fedora is least stable operating system. Lot of bugs are there. Not recommended for learning also. Okay, if you are a learner, don't use it for learning. If you want to use for learning, just go with CentOS, which is free to use, or Red Hat 8 with a developer license. Okay, now let us create our own virtual machine as per our configuration. So by the time it is powering off, so first of all, you need to check your own laptop's configuration, like how much of RAM is available right now, how much of CPU is available right now. Okay. For that, just simply open your task manager like this. On the taskbar, right click and go to task manager. You might not see a screen like this, or you are getting or you're getting something like this on your desktop or laptop. So don't worry, this is the minimized version or the minimal version of task manager. Just click on more details. Okay, on the last on the bottom of this application window, you see more details. Just click it. It will expand. Once it is expanded, that is fine. Then we can check. Now on the top, there are so many tabs. The second tab is performance. Just click it. So on the CPU, just click on the CPU. You see, in my case, I have 8 logical CPUs. Okay. And right now, 21% is the top CPU usage, or 24% is the top CPU usage. So I can easily say that I can use 2 or 4 processors for my virtual machine. Even one is enough. But to be on a safer side, to give virtual machine more power, I will give 2 CPU. Okay. On the left hand side, again, click on memory. In my system, in my laptop, I have 16 GB of memory, and available is right now 8.3. So on the right hand side bottom, you see the summary. So you see available written over here. So it says 8.3 GB. So that means I can easily give 2 GB or 4 GB of RAM to my virtual machine. So this is how you will calculate how much you can allot, how much resources you can allot. Akshay is asking, okay, Akshay's your question is, are there any dump labs we will follow after the end of the course to crack the exam? See, throughout the exam, we are going to use the practice from the dumps only. Okay, the questions are from the dumps only. They're little bit modified so that you know what is the pattern and all that. Okay, not the exact dump, but yes, whatever questions I have designed are more or less the dumps only, so you don't need to worry. So just follow the questions along, and you will be able to crack the exam. Is it difficult to install CentOS? No, not at all. You, like, I'm just sharing the steps, just follow it along. Okay, first step is evaluate your system. I just evaluated, I can give 2 CPU and 2 GB RAM easily. That's it. So again, after evaluation, open VMware. Once the VMware application is opened, on the right hand side you see create a new virtual machine, the first option. Click it. So the second option is installer disk image. Click the installer disk image, browse, and browse for CentOS Stream 9 GB file that you downloaded. I will click open after selecting. VMware says CentOS 8 64-bit detected. It automatically detected the CentOS 8. Now click next. Just give it a name. I will give it something like July CentOS. Okay. And in the location, select a location where 20 GB is free. So in my C drive, 20 GB is not free. So I will select D drive for myself. In D drive, I have some virtual machine folder available. Inside, I will create a new folder by the name, let's say July CentOS. Okay. Click OK. Now the location is D virtual machines July CentOS, which is safe. In D location, in D drive, I have more than 100 GB. Okay. And I have given a name as well, July CentOS. That's fine. Click next. Now it is asking how much disk you want to give to your virtual machine. Just 20 GB is more than enough. Leave it as it is. Click next. Now it is saying this is the current configuration. Do you want to customize? It is saying like memory is 1 GB and CPU it is not listed. So let us customize it. Customize the hardware. Click customize. So on memory, just click on memory on the left. On the right, you will see a slider. Slide the slider to 2 GB or 1.5 GB as per your availability. Okay. Left hand side processors. On the right, from the drop down, select two. I am selecting two. You can select one also. And that's it. I changed memory and I changed processor. That's it. Click close and finally click finish. Once you click finish, the installation will automatically start. You don't have to do anything for now. Or yes, you have to install, you have to select the first option. First option is install CentOS Stream. Okay. Once you highlight the option, it then you can press enter. Highlighted option becomes white. So the first option is highlighted. It is displayed as white in color, and you can just simply press enter. Okay. So till let me just quickly check the chat. Okay, you're not able to download VMware. Let me update the link in this PPT. Can we get recording of this lecture? Yes, every day you will be getting the recording of the lecture. From how many day available for CentOS ISO for practice? Unlimited days. CentOS is free to use for unlimited days. You have Workstation Pro, that is perfect. You can run multiple machines simultaneously. Being new to Linux, can I take RHCSA course? Yes, definitely. I will be preparing you for RHCSA course. Okay. In RHCSA course, majorly there is Linux fundamentals, Linux troubleshooting, and containers. Okay. Plus, I am giving you bonus Ansible automation introduction. Okay. So it will be a basically 2 to 4 hours introduction where you will be able to run the automation on multiple servers all at once. Okay. Coming back to the installation. So this is the screen, the first screen where you have to select the language. Obviously select English, click continue. Yes, Janitha, you can take RHCS exam after this course, and you will be able to clear the exam as well. All right. So this is the second screen after selecting the language. So there are few things that you need to take care. First, you need to start the networking. It is just a on-off switch. You see network and host. There is an option by the name network and host. Just click it. So right now you see Ethernet ENS33 is off. Just click it and it will be turned on. If you click it again, this is a switch, slider switch. Okay. Either you slide it or click it. In the same window, you see host name in the bottom. Just give a meaningful host name, something like no server A, server A, and all in small letters. Okay. Click apply. So your main setting is done. Now you can click done at the top left. You see done on the top left. Click it. You're back to the screen. So step one is done. Step two is, do you want CentOS with GUI, graphical user interface, or with CLI? For that selection, go to software selection. In the software selection, you see already server with GUI is selected. If you do not want GUI, then select the second option, server. That's it. But for now, for 2 weeks at least, we are going to use GUI. So first option is the best. Then click done again. We are back to the same screen. Now click on time and date. Okay. Just click on time and date and click India or wherever your current location is. The time zone will be automatically selected. Click done. If you don't want to click or you don't know where is the exact location, you can select the drop down. Let's say you're in Australia, then just simply in the region it will be Australia. City will be Melbourne, Adelaide, Sydney. Okay. So either drop down or just click it. I prefer clicking because I know where India is, right? Click done. And what else? Yeah. Last two things are remaining. Now, where to install operating system on which disk? So you see installation destination, this option. Just click it. It says 20 GB disk is connected. That's fine. And in the bottom area, you see storage configuration. Just make sure it is set to automatic for now, because you don't know how to create a partition and all that stuff, right? So just click automatic. This installer will take care of all the partitioning and installation steps. You don't have to do anything. After clicking automatic, click done. So last option, set a root password. Now who is root? In Linux operating system, there is a super user who can do anything, who has all the powers. Okay. So there is a super user who can do all the things. That user can run all the commands. There is no restriction for that user, and that user is called root user. Okay. So Linux user. So in Linux operating system, there is a root user who is also called a super user or the administrator. So we have to set a password for the root user. So click on the root password option. I'm going to set password an easy one right now, like Red Hat. I have to confirm the password as well, and just click done 2 times because Red Hat is a weak password. So if you're using a weak password, you have to click done button 2 times. That's it. You have completed the initial configuration, and it is very simple. Click, all the clicks are involved. You don't even have to use the keyboard except for root password, right? And finally click begin installation. Okay, so once the installation is finished, you will get to see the screen something like, let me just pause this virtual machine here, and I will open the virtual machine where CentOS is already installed. I'm pausing it. It is paused. Let me open VMware again. I will open the virtual machine where CentOS is already installed. Because installation takes approx 20 minutes of time, so why to wait for 20 minutes? See, for the first week, I would recommend you all to just play with the virtual machine as much as you can, because I want you all to get your problems with virtual machines resolved within the first week. Because if you delay that, if you're facing problems with the virtual machine in the second week also, it will affect your learning speed. Okay, I want you guys to learn at the same pace. All right, so sooner you learn, sooner you finish the course, sooner you are able to apply for the jobs. Okay, again, the motive of Network Kings is to make you job ready. All right, so when you freshly install CentOS, there will be no user created, and you will get to see something like this username. Just mention root here. Password is Red Hat or whatever you have set. After filling the password, you will be logged into the operating system. That's it. Okay. So just make sure you complete this exercise till here for till the installation part. And if you wish to change some settings, feel free. Settings can be opened from activities, all applications, and then settings. Okay. Again, activities, all applications, and settings. And the second way is from this option. Go to the right corner, click it, and in the end, the last row, the left icon, the first left icon is settings. So there are two shortcuts basically, two ways of opening settings. Just try to check what is inside each and every option. What will happen if you change any option? Okay, change any value. So just try to play with it and create your own virtual machine. And tomorrow we are going to address the issues where people are not able to create their own virtual machine. Or see, it's all your choice. You want to use networking labs, that's fine. But if you create your own virtual machine, you will get a hands-on practice on how to install operating system. Because once you start working, you will be given task to install operating system on 15 servers, 10 servers. And if you have experience, it you will feel easy, right? Okay, so let me now give you the Google Drive link. Okay, so I will be keeping the notes and the PPTs in the Google Drive only. So Google Drive is here, Linux May 2021. I'm going to share this. Share. Anyone with the link? First of all, change to anyone with the link. Yes, got it. And everyone will be the viewer. Let me just copy this link. Done. And I'm pasting the link in the chat. Everyone just open this link and bookmark it. Okay. In the last class, till the last day, people kept asking me Google Drive link, and I was sharing them on daily basis. So just make sure you save this link somewhere else and just or bookmark it for easy access. So I am just saving the PPT right now till page number 9. Okay. Just try to open the Google link and Google Drive link and check if you're able to uh, see the data like 12 July PPT Linux hyphen 12 July dot PDF. Actually, it will not be PPT, it will be PDF. And what about the class notes? Yes, it is there, but let me click. Let me create a directory over there for the notes. So class notes will be there in the class notes directory. Okay. And I'm going to create a new directory by the name extras or maybe ebooks. So I'm going to share the ebook material in the ebook directory, and in the open, you will get to see the daily PPTs. Okay. So 12 July was the day 1. 12 July is actually day 1, or maybe I can say Linux day 1. Yeah, this is fine. Linux day 1, 12 July PDF. So are you able to get this data? The data is syncing actually right now, and it has been synced. Okay, data sync complete, and you will be able to see all this data. You can download it. Okay, PDF is PPT is in the form of PDF. Hold on, let me just again print the PDF. 1 to 9 actually. Remove. Print Google Drive. I want to save it in July. Yes. Batch name is July 2021. And this is 12th of July. Save it. Yeah. So now we have the latest PPTs. Yeah. Okay, guys, any questions? So actually, this is it for the day, and we're going to have such sessions on daily basis for next 1 month or so. And yes, recording will be available in the student portal. Okay, you log into the student portal, you will get to see the recording and the PPT as well. Okay, so both the things will be uploaded on the portal, and on the Google Drive, you will get to see the PPT and along with the class notes. Yes, the same Zoom link tomorrow, not for tomorrow, but for the entire class, for the entire course. It will be the same Google Drive link. It will be the same Zoom link. Okay. Okay. If there are no questions, then we can close the call for today. All right. Okay, sir. Okay. So, yes, Gaurav, any question? If you have any question, you can unmute yourself.
Sir, why we don't use Kali Linux?
Okay. See, Kali Linux is basically designed for learning ethical hacking or hacking. Okay. So if you want to clear RHCSA exam, you need to practice on Red Hat product. And what is the Red Hat product? Red Hat Enterprise Linux or CentOS. So these are the two options provided by Red Hat on which you can practice RHCSA exam. Okay. Why are we focusing on RHCSA Red Hat only? Because when you start working, you will get to see like 1000 Linux servers, And on all the 1,000 servers there is Red Hat operating system. Then you will know the value of RHCE, right? So better to form a, just prepare your mind like this, that eventually you are going to work on Red Hat operating system. So better to start learning it right away. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Yeah. All right.